Hello YouTube. Thought I'd finally check in with you guys and give you a little bit of an update on where we're at with this strip till project, or whatever you want to call it at this point. Well, that is where we're at. We finally are getting the blades on there. I got all of the hub assemblies packed with grease, got them all assembled. All of that took a couple of weeks. That, coupled with the fact that it's the middle of tax season, yeah, I'm gonna take it as a win. You can take it as whatever you want, but the days are getting longer. It's still a little bit cold out, but I should be done putting these blades on probably next weekend. Might take you along for the ride on a couple of them. Show you how the hubs go together, etc. But as far as putting the hubs on the spindles, it's really just a greasy mess is what it is. But the big treat for today, it really isn't that. In addition to working on this, working on taxes, just working in general, there's been a couple other things in the works. So I'm going to take you along for that. Now, I'll play a little guessing game with you. As you know, all the fine things in life, I don't know about that, but all of the finer things in life come from the state of Kentucky. You've got fine Kentucky bourbon. You got fine bluegrass music down there. You've got the standard breds and thoroughbreds that race down there. And in this case, you also have the horsepower of a little bit different variety. Any guesses yet? Any? Yeah, I don't know. I think I did the right thing. I'm pretty sure I did the right thing. This is a 1983 John Deere 8850. I really got a good deal on it, I think. It is a Kinsey repower, of all things. They didn't make too many of those. I always said if I was going to get a tractor that I could have forever, it would be a Kinsey repower. This is what we're going to be pulling this air seeder with, as well as the planter. It's got I mean, it's really overpowered. I honestly really was looking for an 8450 with the repower in it. Really wasn't looking for an 8850. These have 400 horse. Yeah, I really didn't need anything this big. I really didn't. But for the price I paid for this, I couldn't even touch like a 4850, a front wheel drive tractor. So I got a lot more tractor for less money, and it's actually worth more than what I paid for it. Well, at least I think it is. But anyway, there it is. Cool. All right. Someday when it's not 30 degrees out, I'll fire it up. We can take it for a little test drive. But for now, there it is. So anyway, over the next couple of weekends, I'm going to finish putting blades on this, and we'll see where we're at. Alright, so the first thing you do, you start with obviously just the shank. Let's see if I can move that and get it centered. Just the shank there, and then I've got one of these little spindle assemblies, got the seal on there, and then you just run that in. down, then we get the actual bearing and hub assembly. There you go. 1 13/16 in case you were curious. Now, you'll see the fruits of my labor here. Had this tub completely full of pre-packed roller bearings. And what I found works best, you put in this bearing first. Am I saying that right? No, I'm not. Put in this bearing first and put your seal on there to hold it in place. Flip it over, put the other bearing in, shove it on. So let's see if we can mess that up. Put that on there. Put our seal on. Goes right in place. Get our other cone bearing. There you go. Now you just come down. Center it up. Get greasy from the other side. There it is. Just like that. And I run the other nut on the other side, and then we're going to set our prelude. These, being that they're not high-speed bearings, it's not as precise as if this was like a high-speed bearing in a gearbox or something like that. What I found works best is I run that nut down all the way, tighten it up to where nothing moves, and then I back it off about half of a turn, quarter turn, somewhere in there. Usually half a turn seems to be the sweet spot. A couple of these, I don't know if the castings are worn or what, but about a quarter turn is all you need. So, I'd start with a quarter turn if you're doing this at home on your machines, and then just kind of play with it until you can just barely turn that. Seems to work. Seems to work. Anyway. Alright, we're gonna get that out of the way. We're gonna get our wrench, tighten it down. My goodness, it is windy today. It goes from being 80 and livable. I shouldn't say 80. Alright, so as we get this close to being tight, now I can't turn that. Now, back off. Half turn. Feel what that's like. That'd be close. Nope, still about a whole turn there. All right, so then we'll go get our set screws, put those in. That one's done. Oh yeah, except for the blade and the spout. See why this takes a while? It's ridiculous. I'm gonna be doing this in my sleep. All right, then put our set screws in on both sides. There's 4 of these in total per for assembly. That wind is just obnoxious. Absolutely obnoxious. If I had a nice shop, I wouldn't have that problem. Oh well. It is. Now we're just going to get the blade on, and get our boot on. So how long did that take? Probably close to 12 minutes. And that's just video. As far as how long will it take to do the entire thing? Lord knows. Probably a couple weeks. Honestly, those 16 I got done. Yeah, it was probably a couple weekends. Between packing all of the bearings, getting that ready to go. But once I had everything ready to go, honestly, a day or two. It's honestly the case. But if I didn't have to work, well, you could get it done pretty quick. But tax season just wears you out. I'm sorry, it does. Alright, so with that, I'm going to keep on try to put up with this wind the best I can, but that's where we're at. We got half of these done. The next step after this, you'll see me weld a little bit for the gauge wheel assemblies. What I mean by that is on these assemblies, I'm going to make a tack weld right here, so that when these are going through the ground like this, experiencing a lot of torque here, I just think that's a lot of torque on that bolt. Either way, it's still going to be a lot nicer to tear apart than the stock assembly. I believe I've already shown you guys how to assemble these. I went ahead and assembled 16 already. but I couldn't remember if I videoed it or not, so forgive me for being repetitive. Tax season has been a drain, and well, that takes priority. So what I have here, this is for the left side of the machine. I was pretty sure that the left and the rights would be identical given how we assembled this. The holes drilled in that axle assembly are 90 degrees apart, unlike how they are set up on the stock. So again, in my mind, I was thinking, yeah, they should be identical, but I'm gonna check. So here's what they're gonna look like fully assembled. So there's the bolt that's gonna hold the gauge wheel on. Here's our little tack weld to make sure that no shock is gonna shear off this little bolt here. And then there is our retaining washer that holds this bolt in place as we put the nut on. So here are the base units rather. These are the retaining, I guess you'd say, locks. I found them off of eBay, of all places. Off-road community makes those on a CNC laser machine. And all I'm doing in this step is I'm going to weld these to that arm and then just put a tack on the back of that nut, or rather the back of the bolt, to keep it from riding up like this as we loosen or tighten, essentially to keep it in place. Yeah, it looks ugly, but no one's gonna see it, and it will work, unlike the one that was on their stock. The whole point of this is, when it comes time to replace this, all we'll have to do, take a quick grinder to that little tack weld, fire off that bolt, this whole assembly comes off, and then we can easily replace those discs. Anybody that's ever rebuilt these, well, heck, you saw in the earlier videos how fun they are to tear apart once fertilizers come in contact with that metal. So, without further ado, let's go ahead, fire up the welder, weld all those on, and go from there. So this is kind of a repeat of what was on part 6, only now I kind of have this process sort of figured out. Yeah, goes back to that whole repeating thing. Take our assembly, put it in from that side, just let it fall. Then go on the other side with our adjustment casting. Not really sure what the proper terminology for it is. Oh yeah. That's another thing I noticed. Pretty much this entire process. Some of these castings are a little tighter than others. My guess is whoever had them before me had replaced them. But anyway, make sure this is up, and you run this down. A lot of times, usually, it's a wrench to do. Now, I'm sure you guys out there can see where I dropped that nut, because I sure as heck can't. That is the fun of this project. You're always dropping something. It seems like you are, anyway. I like to leave that loose just until I get my depth stop nut in place, or bolt in place rather. Nut and bolt, whatever. There you want to call it. Run that down. I know I don't need to wiggle it anymore. That good? Oh yeah. 9/16. Then we'll put the gauge wheel on. There's that. Come around the back side. Gauge wheel in place. Stop nut on there. Run it down. Alright, so happy tax season to all my fellow CPAs out there. We are, well, entering the final push. We got about 2 weeks to go yet, but well, I've been swamped at work, so I've been meaning to give you an update. I thought I'd show you all the repetitive progress that's been made on the weekends. Well, and even then, basically the Saturday nights.